It was literally perfect. It was probably better the second time round as well. Hello. We've this is the building MHEC roadshow. So essentially, myself and Ben, this is the first time we've done this.
Could you say that again?
So essentially, me and Ben have been we've both been on the road all day today. Essentially, what we've decided to do is we want to go all around the country meeting our mental health and exercise coaches in whatever capacity they're in, whether it's coaching, whether it's something like Stefan, which we're going to get into today. And essentially, what we wanted to do is go and speak to mental health and exercise coaches, see what they're doing within their communities, celebrate the real diverse work that they're doing, because MHEC is so universally applicable and multifaceted, and really just celebrate some of their work. But we're here with Stefan today, and he's got a really, really cool story, which is different to some of our other MHEC coaches. But we've been on the road today. We've been to Kirriemuir to see Leslie, and we've been to Ian to see Aberdeen. Highlights?
We've been to Ian to see Aberdeen.
Is that what I said? Been to Aberdeen to see Ian. You can tell this is visit 3 of the day. Highlights of today so far?
I think just being able to get in front of our coaches' clients, first and foremost, to see them and the incredible work that our coaches have been doing in the communities in which they work has been really kind of rewarding. Because I think I was saying to Stefan just when we came in there that the first thing Leslie said to us when we arrived was, "I can't believe you're in Kirrie." What's going on? Like, two worlds have collided. So I think definitely been a highlight actually coming out and seeing our coaches in their environment and then meeting their clients as well. Yeah, it's been class. But this is different. So we're here with Stefan. So Stefan, I'll let you introduce yourself and what you do. And then why don't you go into a little bit of background about how me and you know each other and how that kind of relationship started?
Yeah, so to be honest, first of all, welcome to Aberdeen. Thank you for making the trip up and stuff. So I'm glad you've had a good day and stuff. But so I've always been around mental health in some capacity. At a younger age, my uncle took his life, and it really sort of started the cogs turning in my head about trying to figure out why. And as I've educated myself and got more experience, I've realised that you're never going to answer that why. That's always going to be there. So I've had to find ways to deal with it. And when I was in school, again, I hated school. I struggled with school. Didn't do very well in school. I wasn't academic at all. And I remember when I left school, I was on a building site. It's a story I love to tell. I was on a building site with my uncle up on a ceiling joist, and it was pissing down with rain. And I remember we went down a break. I was freezing, eating soggy sandwiches, and I was my 2 best mates messaging me from their bed saying, "Oh, I got my results today and I've got all A's and B's." And I think between the two of them, they got 1 C. And I was like, great, well, I definitely haven't done that good, but I thought I did better than I did. And I got home and I literally opened up my results, and it was just D, D, E, D, D. And I looked at my mum, and my mum looked back and she was like, "Don't beat yourself up." I could tell she was probably more caught up about it than I was. She was like, "Look, don't beat yourself up, we'll figure it out." And I was like, fuck this. So I ripped it up, went in, threw it in the fire, and I literally went in, found a college prospectus, and I opened that up. And I thought to myself, right, let's call them. So I phoned, I could do business, sports, or art. Knew I couldn't draw. I knew, again, business wasn't really interested in it at that point. So I chose the sport course, and I went on, and then that sort of started progressing me into different things. And I've always been about learning. Even when I got into becoming a qualified careers advisor, which I am at this moment in time, I don't sit still. I like to continuously educate myself and continuously improve. So I'm always doing something. I've done my COSCA counselling introductory courses. I've done suicide prevention courses and things like that. And it got to a point where I was about 6 years into the organisation at this point. And a colleague of mine who's a friend as well, she was like, you keep saying about doing something with mental health. I know that I've seen this guy in Stirling, so it was obviously Dan, and I reached out to Dan a few years ago. We obviously chatted. Dan gave me some tips and pointers. I went away, and again, I started doing my own thing and stuff like that as well, and just building up qualifications. And I suppose it got to a point then where I was like, right, I seen the MHEC award come out, and I thought, right, I really want to try and upskill that bit further, because even though I'm a qualified careers advisor, mental health is such an open book that it's important to try and educate yourself in as many aspects as possible. And people don't realise that coaching is completely different to maybe your stereotypical older 10, 15 year ago careers advisor. A careers advisor 10, 15 years ago could open a book and tell you what jobs were there. That is impossible now, and it's only going to continuously change. So the approach for me is about coaching a young person or an adult to make a decision that is their decision, rather than me actually saying this is what you should do. So yeah, that's basically been my rationale for looking at MHEC and stuff like. So it's been great to complete the
I love
award.
how you use the word coaching there for young people as well. You know, it's not just advising.
Yeah.
It's coaching. It's mentoring. And you'll be a role model for these people as well. And I think it's really cool. What Stefan missed out, which was a key part of the story for me, which I really like as well, which I think is just a really nice full circle moment as well, was that we had chatted back and forth. And I ran, because we chatted back and forth, I'd ran a competition on Facebook. So for someone to get a free trial or free month or something in one of my mental health and exercise fitness programs, one of the very, very first ones that existed. It was a trial one, to be honest. And I rigged the vote, and I let Stefan win.
It's all coming out now.
I rigged the vote, and I wanted Stefan to win because you were so keen and you were so passionate about talking about it. And I just thought, with the greatest respect, I want to give this to someone who really, really, really wants it. So I gave it to Stefan. That was about 4.5 years ago now. That must have been. And then because that happened, obviously, you know, then we stayed in touch. Stefan came and did the award, and then because of that, we're now sitting in this room today. So that's why you go and do things like that. You don't know how they're going to pay you back in years to come. So let's talk about the MHEC Award then. So you've kind of came into it in a slightly different capacity. Me and you had a call the other week, and I asked you what you thought of the award, and I want you to repeat this because I didn't record the call and I was fucking livid that I didn't record the call. And I said, how does the MHEC course, or how does the MHEC Academy in general compare to other courses? And you said, MHEC is out of this world. In fact, it's not just that, it's on another fucking planet. So can you say that again? No, honestly, so tell us a little bit then about the MHEC experience, because you'd watched it grow for basically 3 years. You'd watched it grow for 3 years. Me and you had kept in touch. And then you took the leap to actually go and do it for your own personal and professional development. So yeah, how did it end up? How did that experience end up being for you?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like, again, I've always been around sports. I've played sports. I've went to many PTs. I've probably been with like about 15, 20 PTs at this point throughout my life, and I'm only 34 at this point, so like always going to PT. So I've picked up things I like and things I don't like, and things I would do myself and things I wouldn't do. So in a way that has helped shape me to sort of see the PT industry like that. But often when I went to like PTs, it was always like this old school thinking about like just the aesthetic look side of it, and it was a case of, right, I remember doing night shift at Asda, and I was going in at night and I had like chicken, sweet potato and like cottage cheese, and I don't even fucking like cottage cheese.
Was it in a Tupperware box as well?
In a Tupperware box. So, and I remember like it was painful enough doing night shift at Asda, and a couple of guys that I'd be friends with, like they would joke away and be like, oh, look at this here, fucking chicken and stuff, and it never lasted. And I think that was the big thing for me, is it's not about being strong-minded to do it. If I don't like something, I'm not going to want to do it for too long. Like at the end of the day, life is very, very short, and I don't believe in doing something for a shitload of time that you're actually like, in one way, yes, you're getting that sort of six-pack abs, but then your mental health is absolutely in the gutter. And I don't like, I've always been an advocate for mental health, and that's where like, again, with the PT industry, seeing it evolve now, I'm seeing more and more PTs start to speak about the mental health and speak about food in a nicer way instead of all foods are bad. It's about the quality, but also quantity. And like kind of like I would have went home and had a full pack of digestives. That wouldn't have helped. Like, so like having one or two, but staying within those means as well. And I think like through MHEC, that's where you get those structures, you get those tools, but at the same time, it's like a family. And again, if you're unsure, you can reach out to somebody, and somebody's at the other end of a message or a phone to say, look, try this or try that. And like that's what I love about it. And I'm also coming at this from a completely fresh perspective. I'm not a PT, I'm not a PT in the industry. And like maybe I will, maybe I won't go down that route, but at this moment in time, that's not where my direct focus is. So I'm just like, again, being able to upskill and do these wee things and stuff like that as well, so empowering. And I think like that's why I love MHEC. And I do think it's on a different planet because I feel like there's so much more that can be done. And me working in schools all the time, I can see how young people are struggling more now than what they probably would have 10, 15, 20 years ago, because social media just absolutely swallows us up. I like being back at school, it used to be if somebody hit you and broke your nose or busted your nose, that was it. You could go home and then the next day it maybe started again. Whereas like now social media, it's just never ending. And like seeing that within the system and stuff. So I feel like MHEC has a lot of that and the principles sort of bought into. And like that's why I love MHEC. So
yeah, no, it's class, mate. Thank you for talking about it in such glowing terms as
Making
well.
big-headed.
No, I know you're not going to be able to fit through that door at the end of this. But no, mate, it's great. And for someone that has the background like you've just described, from going to different personal trainers, having that kind of relationship with health and fitness yourself, then the background that you've got through the mental health training and education that you've done anyway, and then your personal circumstances with your uncle when you were younger as well. So you've already got what Dan and I would probably say, you've already got a lot of MHEC values within you before you even came in to do the award, potentially even before you'd even came across Dan's page as well. So I think the question that I would like to ask you at this point, with all of that in mind and how passionate you are in saying you love MHEC, is there any one thing in particular that you've learnt since you've come on doing the award or met people in our community that really resonates with you, really strikes a chord with you and how you want to approach things, with how you work with young people, children, school leavers, that type of thing?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think that's a cracking question. Like, so for me, Ben, like when I think about that, it is the 4 pillars of MHEC. Like everything good starts with a solid foundation, and I feel like having that foundation in place is what is quite helpful for any newbie coming on board, because again, I was coming into an exercise qualification as a completely different like career sector, and it was nerve-wracking at the beginning. But again, I'm not one for shying away from opportunities like that. Like I do see the bigger picture and think outside the box as much as possible. So like for me, those 4 pillars, and again, focus, and you could maybe speak a bit more about the 4 pillars, but it's maybe, yeah, there's quite a lot that I've taken from MHEC that helps me in my job, and my job isn't focused on exercise. Like you're going to get a chance later on to fly a couple of drones and stuff. So like
I've been working out my thumbs.
but like everything sort of taps into people's mental health and well-being, and like that's why with the MHEC coming at it, I don't have to be a PT to actually learn and evolve and empower myself and continuously get better. And like maybe someday I'll go into the health and fitness industry again, because I do have experience with like coaching and stuff, and like it's something that I really enjoyed. But for now, I'm where I'm at, and like I've no complaints. Like so.
What's the script with the drones? I think leads us kind of really nicely onto why we're here today. I mean, obviously we wanted to come see you, wanted to come visit. We promised for a while we would come up to this neck of the woods because you've been down 3 times now, and I thought it was only once.
Are we keeping tally now?
And now I feel really guilty about it. But no, I think it leads in really nicely into the community stuff that we do because, yeah, we touched on earlier, we've been to visit Leslie in Kirriemuir, who's delivering a mental health and exercise fitness class. We then went to go see Ian in Aberdeen, who was delivering small group training in a gym, and that's where you typically see MHEC, you know, on the gym floor. And that is a large demographic of the individuals that come to work with us. Of course, it's personal trainers, it's gym instructors, it's people working on the gym floor. And I know that was kind of one of the reasons, because obviously you were doing your PT qualification and you were like, well, I'm just going to keep my options open and really view MHEC as rather going into the MHEC award and that kind of pushing you into a certain space or category. You went into it with the mentality of, I'm going to actually go into MHEC, so it's going to open more doors of opportunity physically and also like psychologically as well, which I think is really cool. But it leads us nicely onto what we do that a lot of people don't see, and a lot of people maybe don't see it because we don't talk about it a ton online, because when we're talking about our mission, we're talking about working on the gym floors, we're working with the PTs, we're working with these people who are dealing with people's health day in, day out, having these early mental health interventions through exercise. But some of the work, some of the biggest work that we do at MHEC is the stuff out in the community, whether it's working with corporates on wellness plans, whether it is doing educational stuff within schools, for not just the pupils, but the teachers, and also massively important, the parents as well. We're doing so many different things out in the community, whether it's festivals, events, and it's all about bringing mental health education to the masses. But what's then really nice is, because of where we are sitting today in the Office of Skills Development Scotland, since doing the award in mental health and exercise coaching, this has now opened a door for us at MHEC to be able to walk into SDS, look at some of the initiatives and projects that they have got going on, and with Stefan's passion for MHEC and what we do and his foresight to be really kind of thinking progressively when it comes to all the boxes that we tick, from mental health intervention to physical well-being through exercise to skills development through mental health and exercise coaching. It's kind of been this really kind of nice marriage of values in order for us to look, well, actually, how can we support each other on future initiatives? So with you being the staff member at SDS, I don't want to talk about anything we're maybe not allowed to talk about yet. So do you want to share some of the things that are maybe in the pipeline, maybe some of the things that are confirmed? I don't know, whatever you want to share when it comes to MHEC and SDS and that relationship, and some of the work that we are looking to do with young people when it comes to their career pathways.
Yeah, so again, for me, my job role is so I've went from being a careers advisor to a My World of Work live advisor, and basically what that means is that I do hands-on experiential learning with young people. So instead of me coming in, putting a PowerPoint up on the screen and saying, look, you can see drones flying, this is what drones do. We take drones in, let them fly them, let them bang them into walls and stuff, and get that understanding. And I think, like, for me, one of the most empowering ones that really sits nicely with me is that I went out to a school, and the guidance team had said, look, this young guy might have to come out because his behaviour's not great. He struggles to pay attention and stuff, and he doesn't really sit well in a sort of group context as well. So for me, when this young guy was FaceTiming his dad at home, look, I'm flying a drone, and getting really hyped up about it, and then the teachers came to me at the end and were like, I can't believe that. That is incredible and stuff. But again, if I'd have put a PowerPoint up and just shown how to fly a drone, it would have just been, like, it would have fell flat. Like, it wouldn't be the same. So, like, having that hands-on experiential learning is really empowering. So coming back to your question, so with like the MHEC side of things, like one of the things that I have discussed with Fiona is about a hands-on experiential like activity that young people can learn through exercise, but also that fits into the world of work as well. And that's something that we're obviously working on. So can't give too much away for that as well. But there's loads of other opportunities. So again, doing some social media content, which I think like through Skills Development Scotland, the reach that we have through having advisors all across Scotland is really, really good as well. So obviously doing that bit of work there around the socials and being able to highlight, like it's not just about careers advisors being in a room, because careers advisors do a lot more than just talk about jobs. There's a lot of coaching that goes on behind the scenes, and again, young people, when they go into an interview, they might not be ready to speak about a job because they've got all these other things going on behind them. That is maybe like trouble at home, it might be they're struggling in school, anxiety, and there's more and more people now being diagnosed with ADHD and autism and stuff. So I just feel like a better awareness and stuff as well for those type of things is quite important and powerful. But I feel like there's a couple of things that we are working on through MHEC. But again, I don't want to give too much away.
Don't want to give too much away.
This is so difficult for me. I'm like,
that's why you threw that ball to me.
well, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. So
No, we'll not give too much away. But one thing that we do need to acknowledge, I don't know if anyone said this to Dan yet, but did you see the piece of content he did for Blue Monday? And he was doing his best Liam Gallagher impression. Because you walked up to the microphone, you were like, Blue Monday's not real.
Yeah, and that was actually shared within like SDS as well. So I came across it in one of the sort of staff forums across Scotland.
Amazing.
So I seen like some careers advisors were posting about it, and Dan's face popping up on our page and stuff. So again, for me, like I was like, oh, there's Dan popping up. So like,
I know him.
It's really, really good. Like, so it is. It's cool.
No, it's class. And sorry, just before we get sidetracked there, I think you said something really important about the work that careers advisors do is more coaching than anything else. And I think that's, I mean, the word coaching is the C in MHEC, isn't it? So a lot of what we talk about is mental health and exercise, and we almost focus on that quite a lot in terms of the education around mental health, mental illness, what it is, what is exercise. You know, it's not just punishing workouts, it could be any form of movement, anything that can people love. And like I said, the fourth letter, the C, is the coaching, and a lot of what we try to teach is how to be a better coach and understand these different facets of people's mental health and how we can coach them around that. So I guess with that in mind, how much of an impact do you see in young people now through your current work? I know you mentioned about the young lad there that was flying the drone, wasn't really the best in classroom settings.
Yeah.
So how much of that do you see on a daily basis within young people now when you're going out into schools? How much of an impact is mental health having on the future generations of our country?
So, to be honest, it comes back to that point I made earlier about not being able to get away from social media and stuff. Because, like, when I was at school, if you were not talking to a pal or something like that at school, you could go home, go your separate ways, come back, and you come back with a fresh mindset. Whereas nowadays, it's just like back and forth on social media, and it is very challenging for young people to try and navigate through that. Like, there used to be a point where the young people, the teacher would speak to the parents and the parents would speak to the young person, but that's now evolved to a point where the pupil speaks to the parent and the parent goes and tells the teacher off. So, like, I wouldn't go into teaching purely because I think it is one of the toughest sectors going nowadays, because a teacher, they're not just a teacher, they're a coach, they're a mentor, they're a counsellor, they're all these things rolled into ones. Like, and it is really challenging. But like within like careers advice, again, coming back to that sort of coaching side of it, like that is the bread and butter of what we do as an organisation. And the way I approach it, if you want to get better at swimming, you get a swimming instructor. If you want to get better at obviously being in the gym, PT. It's just different terminologies. So like a personal trainer, fitness instructor, like it's just understanding that all these people are coaches in their own right and in a different way, really. And then by bringing that all together, I feel like you're definitely making it a lot more powerful, and everybody coming with different approaches and stuff as well can really, really empower a young person to move forward.
Yeah, brilliantly said. I think the thing for me that's so nice about this is, obviously, like, we could sit and chat about this all day, but I think the thing that's really nice for us is, like, when we envisaged the award, we knew it was going to be predominantly personal trainers, but we knew it was going to be sports coaches, we knew it was going to be teachers. Fee, who you referenced earlier, who's our programme coordinator, she's a social worker. You know, we've got so many people from different walks of life. We've got MHEC coaches who are within the prison service. And it is amazing because, like we said, there's so much kind of diversity there. But I think one of the things that really excites me as an individual who didn't get on well at school or at university, to know that we have an MHEC coach who's a careers coach.
Yeah.
Won't call you careers advisor, a careers coach. Because there's so many things there. Like you said, it's the having the mental health education to hand, it's the physical well-being education to hand, it's the personal and professional development, which then, you know, encompasses everything. It's, again, the really important thing, it's these life skills that you can learn through this. And the fact that then that has added even greater value to a job that you're already doing that is so massively important, I think is really, really rewarding to hear. Is there anything else within this segment that you'd like to share about MHEC, about you, about kind of like the work that we're doing?
Yeah, so one thing I'd like to say is about the sort of statistics that you put out, so everything's sort of backed by like scientific evidence or like reports that have been done and stuff, and I think that's really, really good, because when you think about a personal trainer, like I think it was Dan, you said most PTs fail in their first year.
Yeah, 90% leave within their first year, 70 to 80% leave every year thereafter. Yeah. So 70, 80%
and like
turnover rate.
That's quite scary. Like I feel like I would go into being a PT. I've done like my level 2 PT instructing, and I struggled with it. Like the actual coursework and stuff, the exams, passed it, no problem. But I didn't think the course was that good. And like that's no disrespect, maybe it is disrespect, but
definitely is based on the conversations we've had.
But at the end of the day, like if you're getting into something, you want to feel like it has actually added value to you, but it's also improved you in the context that you were to be in that 1% better. And I didn't feel like I really learnt much. Like I've done anatomy courses and stuff at college, like when I did a sports and exercise qualification. So like I understood a lot of that, but it was just email sent to me, do this coursework, do the exam, pass, and then I showed up to calls and nobody showed up to them and stuff. And I have 2 kids. I was working, and fair enough, once is fine, like people, like everybody runs over, including myself. But when it happens time and time again, I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like what is encouraging me here to actually try and go and join that sector? And that's when, again, like with MHEC, I felt a lot more empowered with all the resources and stuff, but the support is next to none. Like, so, yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Good man. Good stuff.
Thank you very much, mate.
Good stuff. Well done, team. Cool. Right. Decent.
Did it cut out, or was it?
No, it was about to cut out in 30 seconds, so we timed that perfectly.
So where the camera cut out, so we're having to repeat where we got up to. So I believe the point I was trying to make before we got cut off was that everyone has mental health. So the amount of people that are coming into MHEC from different backgrounds, disciplines, careers or whatever, it's because they're realising so many of their either immediate circle or wider circle might be struggling with their mental health in some way, shape or form, and now they're coming into MHEC because they're starting to see how we are trying to educate people around mental health using the power of exercise. And I think that's really the driver behind a lot more people coming into us from different demographics and backgrounds.
Yeah, and I think as well, like one of the things I've noticed through my time, like with MHEC and stuff as well, is that you're not focused on that aesthetic look. Like again, we touched on it earlier on, but like aesthetically, a lot of PTs, it's like, come on, I'll get you in shape, and you have like, it's quite challenging because some people do enjoy that and they get a buzz off going and getting that 6-pack and then doing photo shoots and stuff. But I've never come across anybody that said they enjoyed the process. They always say they absolutely hate it, like their confidence is down, they're starving all the time and stuff like that. And I think if it's a challenge you set yourself, fine, go ahead. But I don't think it should be portrayed as the message anymore for everybody to go for that, because I would fucking hate that. Like absolutely. Like what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an extrinsic goal. So you've got an intrinsic goal and an extrinsic goal. An extrinsic goal is typically more materialistic. It's something that's, you know, you can be extrinsically motivated. So you're more motivated by peer pressure, by, you know, external gratification. And that's what your body image is. It's surface level for a reason. And what you said was really interesting, that you're yet to meet someone who enjoyed that process. no matter how all over the country, all over the world, you're having messaging and advertising and people saying, look a certain way and you'll be happier. Out of all the years, out of the thousands of people that I've worked with and over the decade I've been in the industry, I'm yet to meet someone who said that they were truly happier purely because of a change in the way that they look. Most of them become even more insecure. If they drop a stone, they want it to be like another stone. You know, some of the most people that are the most insecure are the ones that typically would look in the best shape. Does changing your body shape, or can changing your body shape, give you confidence? 100%. If you generally like the fact that you look a little bit stronger, that you feel a little bit stronger, that aesthetically, you know, clothes fit you a little bit better and that makes you feel more confident, amazing. I would be lying if I said that that wasn't the case for me. Of course it is.
Yeah.
You all want to feel more comfortable and confident in your own skin. But there's a big difference between that and basing your whole self-worth and identity and value on the way that you look, which is what most people do. And I say this thing to my MHEC coaches all the time, that a typical or an average PT will teach you how to love yourself for the way that you look. A better PT will teach you how to love yourself for what you can do. And an MHEC coach will teach you how to love yourself for who you are. And that's the difference between, I know. That's the difference between what we do and what other PTs do. And I talk about it I've spoken about it a lot online recently, this body positivity movement. People are being like, oh, body positivity, it's encouraging obesity, it's encouraging laziness. It's absolutely not. These people are confused. They don't know what body positivity really is. Body positivity is encouraging individuals to love and respect themselves for who they are now, for the way that they look now, build confidence for who they are as a person now, while striving to be the best version of themselves. And that's what body positivity is. Most people think it's like you're letting people off the hook and you're glamorizing obesity. You're absolutely not. So people have that confused when they see some of our messaging. Having a body image that you're proud of, fantastic, but it's only one very small piece of the puzzle that you need to be happy overall.
Yeah, and see from like an MHEC perspective, like how do you use expect, because you obviously have expectations on how your MHEC coaches come across as well. You want them to be the best that they can be. So like how do you support them with their self-image in terms of being the best that they can be?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when it comes to individuals that enrol in our programme or enrol in the award, we focus on looking out for themselves, looking after our clients, looking into their business. So across all these different things. And the looking out for themselves, or looking after themselves element is massively important. So we teach them about their personal standards, teach them about their mindset, teach them about their limiting beliefs, teach them about their energy levels. And obviously they have to feel good within themselves. Yeah. In order to help other people. And I think the most amazing thing is, and the thing that I'm really proud of, it's not just that our MHEC coaches preach to their clients, oh, you don't have to look a certain way to be happy. And then they are going off and posting pictures of themselves online. And it's nothing to do with that. Like what we said to our coaches that we met earlier today, their clients said that they feel comfortable to express their true identities and not care about what their bodies look like, because that's what our coaches do. Yeah. And that's what our coaches say. So we're really strict about it, like from the get-go. Like obviously if they still want to talk about body image, like if they still want to post before and after pictures and they want to go down that route, like that's okay, as long as they're educating people around that. I get it. Yeah. It's fine. And we don't, if people are typically driven by the way they look, and it genuinely will make them happier, fine. We know from the research that isn't always the case. But we need to empower coaches to coach in the way that they want to. We don't want this cookie cutter approach where we are saying, no, you can't do that. We're evidence-based, we listen to the evidence, we listen to the research, we advise, but ultimately the most important thing is we empower coaches to be able to express their true identity and get their clients to do the same. I've said something to Ben lots of times over a pint. The thing that I'm proudest of, and my ego of 10 years ago would have been damaged by this, the things that I'm so proud of is we have almost 400 coaches and not one of them has tried to be like me. Yeah. Or tried to speak like me, or tried to do anything like that online. All these other mentors within the fitness industry, they create carbon copy versions of themselves. and these individuals want to strive to be like them, and they end up just being sheep, and they end up totally losing their individuality. And that's one of the things that I'm really proud of, is we empower coaches to be able to understand who they are in order to be able to help their clients do the same.
Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yes, I was actually going to say, I know you'll have something to add to this.
No, I think it was actually earlier on today, Ian said something really interesting when we were interviewing him, and he said, that one of the biggest things he learned through MHEC was to put himself first and look after himself, and that's what we try to instill in our coaches, because if they put themselves first, they're leading by example for their clients, they're role modelling that behaviour, that it's okay to put yourself first, in some cases to look after yourself, have boundaries in place. And the amount of coaches that we have that give us feedback after the coach are like, I never realised how much I needed this for myself, not just for their clients as well, comes through in a lot of the feedback that we see. So being able to, I'll borrow the word that Dan just used there, the individuality of all of our coaches, and celebrating that to create what they see their fitness business as, is where I like to come in and support people to actually be like, well, what direction do you want to take things? Where do you see your business going? Not what have you heard online? What have you seen other people doing? Because again, another thing Ian referred to earlier was one of the other things that he learnt through MHEC is to not compare himself to other coaches, to not necessarily to stick in his own lane from that point of view, but more around, well, I might have my own view and ideals and values and beliefs and how I want to support people in the community that I work in, and the vision that I have for my business. And for him to feel empowered to be able to do that through MHEC, I think is something that, to echo what Dan's saying, what he's proud about, that's what I'm proud about, is to be able to help people create their individual businesses with the vision, mission and values that they want to carry through.
Yeah, and what I love about that is obviously all your coaches are now planting that MHEC seed, and then they're watering it and giving it the actual resources it needs to grow and flourish. And I think when I think about that, I think about my own kids. Like, I want my kids to be the best they can be, but I don't want them to compare themselves to others, because most people do that nowadays as it is. And when you compare yourself to others, you're always going to find that lack or not having enough or wanting more. And I think that becomes a big part then of playing into anxiety and depression, because you're expressing yourself in the wrong way. And for me, that's something that I found that MHEC really, really stands up and shouts about quite a lot. And what would your views be on that?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's about the sustainability of something, whether that be the sustainability of their exercise habits, the sustainability of their business. What we try to teach is, if you can make anything that you do sustainable, you're going to enjoy it more, it's going to be longer lasting, it's going to become routine. Touching on what we were saying a couple of minutes ago, when it comes to these exercise regimens, where it's restrictive diets, really regimented workouts, that's not sustainable. You can't maintain that. If we're looking from a body composition point of view, you can't have these bodybuilders that are stage ready. That doesn't happen 365 days of the year. They have peaks and troughs through the year. So what we try to educate all of our coaches on is this: find something and make it sustainable so that it serves them and works for them, so that it doesn't become a chore. It's something that they love doing, and it's just part of their daily routine. For us, even for ourselves, I don't feel like I've got a job. We've just spent the last half hour flying drones around this fucking room. Do you know what I mean? How does that work? Realistically, but and again, working with one of my best mates, it's it's not work.
That was your best mate.
Yeah. It's how can that be work? Do you know what I mean? It is work, but it's not work at the same time. And I think I'll hand over to you in a second. But for me, it's all about sustainability. How can you make something sustainable so that it suits you and your needs?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'll add to it is because you were mentioning, kind of touching on the expression of identity and stuff, and I think that's what MHEC does as well. We really kind of empower individuals to understand their true identity, and they can do that through exercise. But I think something that I'm really grateful for, again, and this is based on a conversation we had earlier with Leslie, who's one of our MHEC coaches, who we met in Kirriemuir, and her client called Leslie as well.
Wasn't confusing.
I'm like,
Leslie Square.
What? Leslie
Square.
And it's just amazing that through us teaching Leslie the power of being herself and the power of one discovering that identity and then expressing that identity, because those are two completely different things. What that does is that opens up the door of opportunity for other people to be able to connect with that expression and then be able to fulfill that themselves. So I shared a story with them, and I'll share it very quickly again. We've got a coach called Steph, whose fitness business is called Misfit Trains, because she's a wee misfit. And just over a year ago, she was a tattoo artist, wanting to leave that career, wanting to become a personal trainer. She came and joined the MHEC Award. We helped her grow a fitness business. She's now fully self-employed personal trainer. And I had a graduation call with her and asked her how she was getting on, and she was saying how happy she is. She can't believe that she's helping these people. And we touched on the identity thing. Now, because she was a tattoo artist, she was self-proclaimed witch, or a bit gothy. And she just said, Dan, I've got like little witchy, like gothy clients, and those are my people, those are my tribe. And I just love that, because these are individuals that may not have found that community otherwise,
100%.
who may not have taken up exercise otherwise, but they have taken up exercise now because they can relate to an individual, one, based on their own personal freedom of expression, and two, because of their character. And then because their character is the same, or their values are the same, or their interests are the same, and then they can relate to that freedom of expression and feel like, I want that. I want to be able to feel like I belong as well. Exercise has now been the gateway for them to create that, and again, then express that even further. It's beautiful, because I now know there's thousands and thousands of people all across the country who are taking up exercise, not just for the physical and mental health benefits, but because they're feeling like they can be more like themselves in that environment. That's pure magic. It's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And do you know what? Like anytime I took the kids swimming and stuff like that before, like I was about 14 stone, and I always didn't want to take my t-shirt off and stuff like that. Whereas like through MHEC, I've now got to the point where I actually don't care. I've actually put on a bit of weight and I'm comfortable in it because I exercise enough. I train 4 times a week. I play around with the kids and stuff. And again, like I feel good within myself. And I think that is where the value comes from something like that, is that you don't I don't need to look the same as you, Ben. You don't need to look like Dan, and vice versa. Like at the end of the day, we are who we are. And it's just trying to, I find that I express myself a lot better now because I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm just trying to be myself, and I'm just enjoying it. And again, that's quite empowering. And last question, just before we finish up, guys, is around judgment, because obviously it's quite empowering to support people, but there's always that fear of judgment from other people, or it's maybe that imposter syndrome. Could you tell me a wee bit about your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll go first and I'll pass it to Ben. I think the thing is, this isn't me that said that. I saw this online actually the other week and it rang true. Somebody was saying, we live in fear because we think that we still live in high school. Like that, you're going to get judged, you're going to get picked on, you're living in this kind of bubble where people don't really understand themselves. And unfortunately, we've carried that, and we've carried those embedded limiting beliefs into our adulthood, where really, with the greatest respect, no one really cares. They don't I think one of the greatest wastes and one of the thing that's the greatest shame is that individuals are going to go their whole life without being who they are, or without following their dream, or without fulfilling, what they were born to do, out of fear of judgment of what other people think. With the greatest respect, it's people who probably don't even fucking notice. They probably don't even, sorry, I'm allowed to swear.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They don't even care. We are so wrapped up in our own internal monologue that we're living our own life is we're the star of this movie, and the whole world revolves around us. That's the way that the ego works. And actually, in reality, everyone's got their own stuff going on. And it's not to suggest that they don't care, that they don't notice, but you are living in your brain 100% of the time. You're passing through these other people's consciousness for the smallest amount of time, but you're then basing your life and your dream and your prospects and your happiness over the smallest percentage of what other people notice and probably don't even care about. And the ones who do pass judgment are the ones who are insecure within themselves and who are probably not going to be able to go off and do all the things that you want. There's research that, when people are lying on their deathbeds, they shared the greatest regrets, and it was that they weren't truly themselves, or they didn't do the things that they wanted to do. And I think it's just a deep shame that people are going to go through their whole lives feeling that way. But also I empathise with it massively. Society wants us to try and fit in. We get told through marketing and advertising every single day that we're inadequate and that we need these certain things in order to be happy. So of course we're obviously going to want these external things and to try and bring us this happiness. But ultimately, we're just pushing ourselves even further away from that if we can't learn to express who we are. So it's a difficult one, and it's a shame because I think it's something that most people will go their lives without being able to conquer. But I know for myself, I went through majority of my life until maybe about 8 years ago or something like that, living a totally different life, not understanding who I was. And then once you kind of crack that code and you start living by your values and relaxing and just being who you want to be, speaking the way you want to speak, acting the way that you want to act, as in not in a way that's destructive to other people, but in a way where it's something that's true to you, the mask gets lifted, the weight of the world comes off your shoulder because you're no longer acting, there's no pretense, there's not you having to put on a performance. You're literally going through every single interaction seamlessly because it's something that's truly innate and, true to you. So again, that's one of the things that we try to get our coaches to express, to be themselves. So again, so they can bring that out in others.
Amazing.
Don't really know how to follow that up. No, I think you put it really well, and I think from my own personal experience, I've been quite fortunate that I've not really ever suffered from any, touch wood, mental health conditions, mental illnesses, whatever. So I've never really experienced what a lot of other people go through. So bringing that round to, in terms of judgment, I've kind of grown up in a privileged way, I guess, because I've never really cared what other people think of me. More than, genuinely, the only people that I care what they think of me is my closest friends, my family, my wife. That's it, genuinely, which is, you can probably see if you've known me long enough that I will act like a fanny quite a lot of the time because I genuinely don't really care. I will go out and I'll act like myself because I've always kind of viewed it through the lens of, if someone judges me, that, in my opinion, that says more about them than it does about me. So why should I hold back how I want to act or behave based on what other people might think of me? And it's probably got me into trouble a couple of times, to be honest. But I'm quite fortunate in the sense that that's never really kind of held me back. And then when I met my now wife, Kirsty, who has for years, she's better than ever before, but she's suffered from anxiety most of her adult life, and that has given me a massive insight into what anxiety can be for an individual. But then from her point of view, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, one of her biggest things is what other people think about her, and a common conversation I'll have with her now and again is who gives a fuck what other people think about you? It's catastrophizing something that somebody might not even be thinking. Again, an example from Kirsty, she won't mind me sharing, has recently taken up running. Originally just started running the treadmill in our gym because it was comfortable, safe space for her to do that, wanted to progress to road running around the estate in our local area, and I was trying to convince her to do it for so long. But she was worried about what other people would think of her running. And I remember saying to her, how many times have you driven down the street and looked at someone running? And she's like, well, I see people running. I was like, but do you think about them? No. I was like, then why would someone else think about you running? If you don't drive past someone thinking, oh, fucking hell, they're running, look at the state of them, or what are they wearing, or they're really struggling, why do you think someone else would be doing that if the roads were reversed and you were running down the road? Granted, there might be someone that is idiotic enough to look at someone running down the street and be like, what the fuck are they playing at? But for me, that message rings true in the sense of, why would you worry about that? Why would you let that hold you back from doing something that you really want to enjoy when the thought of that person judging you is probably worse than what would actually happen in that situation, if that makes sense?
100%. And guys, to be honest, I feel like I could sit and speak to you about this for the next 2
We could as well.
We need to get home for the Celtic game.
So, the next 2-3 hours, we could be chatting. But I think everything that you have brought to the table is absolutely empowering, and I can't wait to see MHEC continue to explode and empower people, because that's exactly what it does. It helps empower people to live their true life and be their true self. Thank you so much, Nick. Absolutely loved having you.
No, thank you very much for having us, mate. It's been an honour and a privilege.
Thank you for being our biggest advocate, as always.
Thank you, guys.
Good man. Appreciate that, mate.
Cuddles.
That was class,
Thank you very much.
That was brilliant. Honestly, thank you.
Thank you, mate. We got there at the end of that one. Very nice.
Payment system. Everybody needs to pee throughout the day. But have you ever wondered why? Well, while your body is hard at work every day, it produces waste byproducts which are toxic and harmful if left to alone. Blood carries these toxins to the kidneys.
That's mental. Technology these days, eh? Wasn't it like that when we were at school? Ben had blackboards when he was at school. People!